Welcome back to the Birdhouse Dynasty Show and our live reaction to the massive trade today. Micah Parsons going from the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones sends him packing to the Green Bay Packers and Lambeau Field. The Packers get much needed pass rush help here with Micah Parsons, and we want to talk about the trickle-down effect on what that has to do with some fantasy relevant players in Dallas and Green Bay, both with this trade. So, as we've been listening all off season, Jerry Jones holding firm on not paying up on Micah Parsons, even though he let Myles Garrett get signed, TJ Watt gets signed, then Trey Hendrickson gets signed just within the last week. And now Parsons still wanted to get paid. It didn't look like he was going to play. We weren't sure. Well, now you have your answer, Dallas. And unfortunately for you, what that means is Micah Parsons is no longer part of the Dallas Cowboys. He is now up in the frozen tundra with the Green Bay Packers. And in that division, in the NFC North, the Packers were widely considered probably the third best team in the division, behind the Lions and the Vikings. Still ahead of the Bears probably, but who knows with Ben Johnson there now. And the main thing lacking for the Packers last season was a major threat in the pass rush. Rashad Gary hasn't done it, and now they get Micah Parsons, and it cost them the minor price of 2 firsts and Kenny Clark, the big rush stuffing defensive tackle. So they might lose out on stuffing the run a little, but they should be able to stop the pass a little better with Micah Parsons, who was the odds-on favorite in Vegas to be the defensive player of the year this year, and now he's going to the Packers. And so what does this do for fantasy and dynasty, right? We'll get to some of your trades in a moment, but I want to start by discussing what this first of all does for the Cowboys. So the Cowboys already had a pretty rough defense going on, okay? They were not widely considered one of the better defensive teams last season. Injuries, especially to Micah Parsons, helped play a part in that. Parsons missed about half the season last year, so it was hard to really blame the Cowboys defense for being pretty ugly last season, during that time at least. But there were some really ugly games even when Parsons was there. I remember the Lions debacle. That was just a disaster. The Niners game was looking that way, but they did mount a comeback. Still lost that one. But I think they lost to the Saints early in the year. I don't know how that happened. But what does this mean for the Cowboys? Well, I'll tell you what this means. It means that Dak Prescott is going to be slinging the ball a lot. Yes. If you just grab Dak Prescott in any of your drafts prior to this news, you just hit the jackpot, because it is going to be garbage time to the max for Dak Prescott. And we are talking over 600 pass attempts, pushing 700 even, as long as Dak can stay healthy. Now, mind you, he's playing in all this garbage time. Of course, the opposing team's pass rush is going to be coming after him. So, be interesting to see, and we'll get our first taste of it on opening night just a week from now. You will have the Dallas Cowboys visiting the world champion Philadelphia Eagles, and we'll get our first taste of the Micah Parsons-less Dallas Cowboys defense I don't know how the Cowboys can hang with the Eagles or the Commanders in that division. Hell, the Giants might even battle the Cowboys out. Who knows? I would not be surprised if the Cowboys finish at the bottom in this division now. Now, the Giants are not anything to write home about, but man, the Cowboys are going to struggle on defense. They are literally the Bengals of the NFC, and even with Parsons, I considered them the Bengals of the NFC. Now, it's looking for some long days in Dallas. Long days in Dallas this year. I don't even know who to compare them to because at least the Bengals signed their pass rusher. They got Hendrickson back this week. Now, the Cowboys, to be fair, didn't have enough money, honestly, to pay Parsons the kind of contract that he wanted. They're already paying Dak a ton. They're paying CeeDee a bunch, okay? What this does open the door up for, though, that's right, the newly acquired George Pickens now could actually re-sign with Dallas or sign, who knows, at some point soon, some point mid-season. We'll see. Now, if you go off of any of Jerry Jones' track record, of course, he'll wait till 3 or 4 other wide receivers sign next offseason and then decide to pay Pickens 10% more than he'd have to pay him right now. 20% more, right? Wait for him to have a great season, then pay him, right? The talent's there for George Pickens. Yes, he's sort of a hothead, right? But the guy plays wide receiver, so is it any surprise? I mean, I'm a little surprised his dad wasn't much of one. His dad seemed to be a solid veteran, very, very athletic, and man, he had some firework touchdowns from Jeff Blake, bombs away there to Carl Pickens. But George, from the get-go, he has made it known that he is large and in charge wherever he's going, and we'll see how that works out in Dallas. Maybe Jerry wants to play a wait-and-see game. Yeah. If his MO is anything, yeah, he's going to wait till the week before the 2026 season to sign George Pickens. So, anyway, back to the Cowboys and their offense. Like, they have no run game. Javonte Williams is Javonte Williams at this point. Like 3 years ago, Javonte was hot. But every year since then, he's dwindled down. And, he had Miles Sanders pushing for his job this offseason. So, the run game doesn't strike any fear into anybody. And so, yeah, Dak's going to be throwing it 40-plus times a week. And that's if they don't bench him in the fourth quarter. But hopefully they can keep up with him. It is wheels up for Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, tons of targets. Hell, even Jake Ferguson gets a little bump here. So I love it for any fantasy dynasty owners of Dak, CeeDee, Pickens, and even Ferguson, yes. Don't love it for Javonte Williams because there'll be less opportunities for him to milk the clock out in the fourth quarter. But on the other hand, if you swing over to the Green Bay Packers, Josh Jacobs will get more opportunities to milk it out in the fourth quarter. I think this definitely helps the Packers, give them a chance to potentially contend with the Vikings and Lions. I don't know that they have the talent to be there with the Lions, but the Vikings definitely. Vikings have a new quarterback. I mean, there'll be some growing pains there. Do I think J.J. McCarthy is more talented than Sam Darnold? Absolutely. But it is McCarthy's first try at the NFL here. And so, yes, I think he's going to sling it a lot. Kevin O'Connell loves to throw it. They should be a strong offense, but you never know. I mean, it is a new quarterback in real NFL action. He's looked good in preseason. So it's sort of a wait and see game. Me personally, I'm not holding back on JJ McCarthy. I've loved him this whole off season. But back to the Packers, yes, I think that this helps Jordan Love's long term outlook with the Packers. But fantasy wise, not so much. Now you have a big pass rusher. When you get a lead and you're able to let Parsons pin his ears back and come after the quarterback, this might help Rashard Gary on the other side get less double teams if he was actually getting double teamed. I don't know. But point being, we've got Micah Parsons. That draws a lot of attention from the other team's offensive line. And when the Packers do get the lead, they'll be a little more formidable, for sure. And what it means in the fourth quarter is even more grind out opportunities for Josh Jacobs. So I'd give him a little bit of a bump. He already was bumped up pretty high in redraft, most of the time going in round 2. I would definitely have him ahead of Jonathan Taylor right now. Those two were going neck and neck, basically. Them and Bucky Irving. So that trio was sort of right after the top 5 or 6 running backs. Trying to count them out. Bijan, Gibbs, Saquon, CMC, Henry, Achane. Then those 3. So still all top 10. But yeah, I mean, if you want to still draft Jonathan Taylor, go ahead. That's redraft. Dynasty-wise, sure. Maybe if you were looking to sell Josh Jacobs, this might be an opportunity to sell him. He's not going to go up that much more, all right? He already was a very solid win-now type running back. If you were looking to acquire him, yes, the price just went up. So, unfortunately, if you didn't get him before this deal, now he probably costs you a little bit more. Now you may have to go look at the price on Jonathan Taylor or somebody else. So, unfortunately, if that didn't happen, the deal that you were looking for in Josh Jacobs, well, you waited too long. All right? That leads into our deals that we have for you from our Patreon. Let's bring those up. First of all, we've got a couple deals from our Taco Corp League. And first one here involving Mike Woe and our one and only host, along with me, one and only co-host. Yes, one and only co-host. We'll have Matt in the building next Thursday night for opening night. With all of the action we'll be pulling next Thursday. We've got many more episodes before then, but here we have Matt English giving away Drake London and a couple of Washington receivers, who Mike Woe does own Jaden Daniels, so that helps that side of the deal out here. So you've got Drake London, Ben Sinnott, and Jalen Lane for Rashid Shaheed, RJ Harvey, and Tyler Warren. Woo! What do we have here? Well, it's almost a 3-for-1, but the case being made for Sinnott and Lane is, of course, that Mike Woe owns Jaden Daniels. Now, this is a best ball 12x12 format, so 12 teams. You get 12 guys into your lineup in the best ball format. It is a tight end premium, so that favors Tyler Warren in this case. I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, I lean the 3 players that Matt English got here are Rashid Shaheed, RJ Harvey, and Tyler Warren. He's just going to get way more starts out of those 3 than Mike Woe is getting out of the bump he got with Drake London. Obviously, Drake London, yes, is a much heavier target earner than Rashid Shaheed. I'm high on Shaheed, though. I'm not saying that I think he'll outscore Drake London or even, come close to the kind of targets that he's getting. He's got Spencer Rattler thrown to him, for Christ. I mean, so yeah, but I like Shaheed. I think he's somebody that could get into your lineup, health concerns aside, 5 to 8 times this year. RJ Harvey, I love him. I've been snapping him up in redraft and the guillotine leagues that I've drafted in this past week. Love his price point. Obviously, still a good price here for Matt English. And then you add in Tyler Warren, who's been gaining steam lately. Tyler Warren showing that the Colts might have actually found a tight end finally. And Daniel Jones being the quarterback week 1. Tell you what, the longer that Daniel Jones plays this year, the better for Tyler Warren. So, yes, Drake London is the best player in this deal, but as is the case many times in best ball, you'd rather have the 3, because this is really almost a 3-for-1. Ben Sinnott and Jalen Lane, let's be honest here. They'll be lucky. Mike will be lucky for those guys to get into his lineup 2 or 3 times this season. The other guys on Matt English's side, anywhere from 5 to 10 times this year can get into his lineup. Drake London should be a guy that does get into Mike Woe's lineup just about every week. But I am going to lean Matt English's side. This just helps the depth out. Like, think about it. He went from Ben Sinnott and Jalen Lane. Probably, these are 30-man rosters. Those two were probably right around 25th, 26th, 27th on the depth chart there. Now he's got 3 guys that he adds to his team that are top 15 players in best ball, and anybody that plays best ball dynasty knows those are invaluable. So I'm leaning at English on this one. All right, let's slide down and get the next deal, also from Taco Corp. Now Mike followed that first deal up with a nice one here. This one was very even, would I say? Mike Woe and Finn Laden here. So we've got CeeDee Lamb, one of the man of the hour here, with his potential target share possibly going up now with that Micah Parsons deal. We've got CeeDee Lamb, Justin Herbert, and Caleb Johnson going over to Mike Woe for Kyler Murray, Jalen Waddle, and Bijan Robinson. Okay, so let's break this one down. Oof. All right. So I know that Justin Herbert generally tends to go ahead of Kyler Murray in Dynasty, and this could lead into a deeper discussion on Kyler Murray. But for the next 2 to 3 seasons, whether they're in Arizona or not, Kyler Murray is going to be playing and starting somewhere, okay? Let's say the Cardinals have a really shitty season this year and their head coach gets fired. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but let's say they go 4-13, 5-12, even 6 wins, 7 wins. If they don't get in the playoffs this year, their coach could be gone. And that could also spell doom for Kyler, depending on how high their draft pick is. There's supposedly 5 or 6 quarterbacks that could go first round this next coming draft. Now, I don't know that there's 5 top 5 or 5 top 10 quarterbacks like we had last season, but just the fact that there's 5 or 6 guys that could go in the first round gives me a lot more optimism than what this year's quarterback class had. So, because of that, if Kyler and the Cardinals fail to reach the playoffs this season, I could see Kyler being given the door and heading elsewhere to a team that is quarterback needy. Let's say the New Orleans Saints are looking to just go that route, right? They didn't really hit the jackpot with Tyler Shook here, so the Saints could be in the market for a quarterback. And there's a number of other teams. There's going to be at least 5 or 6 teams looking for a quarterback and would be happy to land Kyler Murray next year. So what my point is that Kyler's got at least 2 or 3 more seasons as a starter. And that should make him equal, if not close enough, to Justin Herbert that I'll cross those guys, those two out here. Kyler probably projected a few more points than Justin Herbert this year, just with the rushing ability. So I think that evens out the longevity. I mean, Justin Herbert's pretty solidified there with Jim Harbaugh in LA. They would have to really, really play poorly for something to happen there in the next few years, where Herbert is not their long-term quarterback for the next 5+ seasons, right? So I'm still going to cross those two off here just to simplify things. Then you've got Bijan versus CeeDee Lamb. And, you know, I love Bijan. I've got him on a few teams, and he's definitely in the discussion for RB1, both in Dynasty and Redraft. Many are taking him number 1 overall, even over Jamar Chase. I wouldn't necessarily go that far in Redraft, but Bijan definitely has his argument for RB1, okay? Very consistent, very polished running back, big, strong, catch the ball. There's nothing really that Bijan can't do. I mean, he is as close to Saquon Barkley as you can get. So, that said, I'm still going to lean CeeDee Lamb slightly over Bijan, just for the positional advantage alone. I know that you can get a lot of wide receivers, and this is best ball, but the advantage I'm talking about is longevity. I think that CeeDee Lamb's career will go longer than Bijan's. We'll just say it that way. All right? So, yeah, it's still pretty tight. You could cross them off if you want. But then you've got Caleb Johnson and Jalen Waddle. And I'm not the biggest Jalen Waddle fan, right? Tua's back healthy, and when he's been healthy, Tyreek's been his guy. And Tyreek, with his kid situation and blah, blah, all this off the field stuff, look, I think that Tyreek Hill is just looking to play football. And what that means is he's going to be the number 1 in Miami once again. And so it's kind of a player take, but I just don't love Jalen Waddle here. Yes, they get drafted around the same area, Caleb Johnson and Jalen Waddle, but dynasty-wise, I lean Caleb Johnson slightly. So, and it's ever so slightly. I mean, you match these guys one-on-one, Herbert for Murray, CeeDee Lamb for Bijan, Caleb Johnson for Waddle. Like, I like every one of those sides for Mike Woe here. I mean, there's ways you can argue the other way, and maybe Bin Laden really wanted a running back, and maybe this is the only deal that he could figure out for an elite option to really hammer down his running back room. But man, I would have wanted some kind of leverage here. Like, I just like the player. I like all 3 dudes on Mike Woe's side, and I'm not loving Bijan's awesome, but I'm not loving this side here, and so I'm just going to lean Mike Woe here. I think that the players that he acquired are more tradable in the future, okay? I think they're more likable players, even with Justin Herbert's long hair here in the sleeper picture. I think he's looked at more favorably in the market. Like Kyler Murray, he scares people. He's very polarizing. It's 50-50. Some people would not even touch him in a draft. Justin Herbert, though, people look at him and they're like, yep, solid QB2 in Dynasty. I know what I'm getting here. There's a little bit of upside with maybe they throw the ball a little bit more. Maybe not. But it's a solid team. Like, it's a solid franchise. That's what you're looking for in your quarterback. Not the circus that's going on in Arizona. You don't know what's going on there with Gannon. That's his name, the head coach. Now, could Arizona surprise? Absolutely. Could this be Marvin Harrison's breakout season? For sure. And then we might change our tone on Kyler Murray a little bit. But until we see it, until we see Kyler get that rapport down with Marvin Harrison like he had with DeAndre Hopkins when Hopkins initially came over from Houston, until we see it, I can't believe it. And I have been somebody who's been drafting Kyler Murray in the last few seasons. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm just a little stained. I've got my fair share of Justin Herbert's shares as well. And I'm telling you, I'm just going to lean Justin Herbert there. So, yeah. Good job, Mike. I like the guys you got. Bin Laden, I know you needed Bijan or felt you needed him. I just don't know that this is the way I would have ended up going about it. But, hey, we'll see. Bijan wins you the league, then I got to shut up. All right. Next up, we travel over to the Birdhouse 4 League, and we've got Kyle, re-educated, dealing with Super Mega Toast. Now, if you followed our live stream when we had the draft live for you on the Birdhouse Dynasty show, you would have seen how Super Mega Toast rambled through his draft, drafting just tons of rookies and building up the coffin for the 27 and 28 seasons. This is not the way I would normally say. I wouldn't recommend doing it because it's best ball, but this is the way Super Mega Toast wanted. He was playing the long haul from the get-go. He went so many young guys. I'm trying to remember. I know he got Rashee Rice. I'm trying to think of some of the other dudes, but he went super young. And here he gets a 27 and 28 first from re-educated, giving away Jaden Blue and Omarion Hampton. So Kyle gets some needed running back help there. Love Omarion Hampton. We're just talking about Justin Herbert. Love the Chargers offense heading into this season. They got the stability with a good number one in Ladd McConkey. Added in some firepower with Trey Harris and KLS on the outside. They're looking like, I know those two are just rookies, but they added Keenan Allen then into that wide receiver room. Like, this offense is locked and loaded. This is not an offense that Jim Harbaugh or Greg Roman have ever had this kind of talent on before. Okay? Justin Herbert and the Chargers threw at over 50% on neutral passing downs last year. No, on neutral plays, not on passing downs. Over 50% neutral pass rate. What that means is when it was 50-50, whether you could run or pass, they threw it more than they ran it. Not your typical Greg Roman offense. Now, they did add Omarion Hampton, who's a stud, and I will go down with the ship there. But, 2 firsts. Jaden Blue and a third, cross it off. That I don't know what to say about the Dallas offense. Yeah, Jaden Blue, if he can win that third down role, passing down role, he might catch over 50 balls this year. But Omarion Hampton can do it all. And, even before Najee became a Pirate, I was loving Omarion Hampton. And even still, with Najee possibly being ready for week 1, I still love Hampton this year. Like, he's gotten all of the first team reps all off season. Now, with the injury to Harris, he's gotten it through the preseason. Super Mega Toast got what he wanted, for sure. Okay, he is he's basically locked himself into the 101 already for 26. He's almost locked himself into the number 101 for 27 as well, and that's the draft he's eyeing up here. So long term, it's a definite win for Super Mega Toast. For the now, we'll see. I don't love giving away your 27 and 28 firsts in a best ball dynasty format. Best ball first year, teams are so close together. Like if you saw this chart on Dynasty Daddy, I don't know if I can bring it up here. The teams in this are so close to each other. Like this was a really even draft. Really even draft. And so I'm just gonna lean, I don't need to show it to you. I'm gonna lean Super Mega Toast on this deal. Kyle, I understand what you were doing, and I'm not gonna tear you apart for this one. I just don't know that this is the route that I would go about with your 27 and 28 firsts. Like if you were gonna trade these, I'd wait to see that you're a contender with what you've got. Like if you're just middle of the pack, which basically about 10 of these teams in this league were, I don't know that getting Omarion Hampton is putting you over the edge. Like it may put him into the top 5, right? There were so many teams that were right in the middle of the pack that this doesn't just vault him into the for sure top 3 discussion, if you get what I'm saying. Like, yes, 3-4 years into the league where there's some more separation, I can understand it maybe a little better. But for right now, I'd want to have hung on to these to see where the rest of it. What if you have 2 or 3 injuries? What if you have 1 injury? You don't have this draft capital to go and acquire anybody now. This is a no trade deadline league. Like trades are going to be flying once the playoffs start too. So I don't love this for Kyle, but he went ahead and did it, and maybe I'll eat it, and Omarion Hampton will be RB1 this season. Who knows? I threw him in there as a dark horse on my dark horse guys to win their position for the season. All right, next up. By the way, anybody got any questions out there, please ask. Any questions on the Cowboys-Packers big trade today? Any questions on Dak, the Packers offense, whatever you want to know? Or any comments on these trades? Perhaps you've got a deal out there. If you do, make sure you smash the like and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out our Patreon. I'm telling you, these trades are right from our chat. If I'd scroll up, you could see all of the talk that we had prior to these deals getting done. This is how we help you out. I can't slide up here. There's a chat about these trades. That's how you get trades done that win you games. And that's the goal. I know it looks pretty when you've got a high valued roster, but ultimately we're still trying to win games here. And that's what I did with this deal in Mojo Forever. Traded with Foss Boss and was able to acquire Ashton Genty. So I got Ashton Genty and Jerry Jeudy. Gave up Matthew Stafford, Breece Hall, Caleb Johnson, and a 26th third. Now, this trade started with Foss Boss simply asking me what it would take for Matthew Stafford. And this is where it ended up. Yes. So I didn't just say, oh, I got Daniel Jones as my QB3. I can get away with giving away Stafford for a second rounder. No. I went for it. Ashton Genty was somebody that I eyed up as a huge upgrade from Breece Hall, who I am completely out on right now. Same with Caleb Johnson. I'm not completely out on Caleb because we've yet to see him play in the actual NFL. But with the preseason and knowing Arthur Smith's deal, like, he wants to get as many running backs involved as possible. He would have kept Cordell Patterson if he could have. He would have traded for Tyler Algier if he could have, and ran 5 or 6 running backs out there if Mike Tomlin would let him. I just don't know that the volume is going to be there for Caleb Johnson that he needs to finish top 15 this year, finish top 15 next year even. Who knows what they're going to do with Jaylen Warren. This is the last year of Jaylen Warren's deal. But out the gate, I know Jaylen Warren's a starter at least. Now, does that mean he gets anything more than 15 touches? Probably not. I don't think Jaylen Warren's role really changes a whole lot. Is Caleb Johnson the goal line back? Probably, but we don't know. Like, Kenny Gainwell's hanging out there. He was getting a decent amount of touches in preseason too. I don't know. Caleb didn't look awesome in preseason. He didn't look terrible either. So I'm not saying I'm totally out on Caleb. I've still got I got plenty of shares I drafted of Caleb Johnson. So I'm not too worried about it. Jerry Jeudy though, somebody I really like as long as Joe Flacco's throwing the ball. So I needed some help at the wide receiver position. I've got Brandon Ayuk and Chris Godwin on this team, a team that is a contender, a top 3 team, and now I add Ashton Genty into the mix. Like I said, I still have Daniel Jones as a QB3. That's fine. If he ends up getting benched, I'll figure it out then. Could probably trade a third for somebody like Joe Flacco, although I did just give up one of the thirds I had. Back to Foss Boss. Foss Boss, on the other hand, I don't know. Like, is this what I want to do to get out of Ashton Genty? I know you needed Stafford, so you felt, you had to do something. And I was kind of playing hardball with him on it. So this does help round out a starting lineup for Foss Boss here. But again, obviously, I'm in favor of my side of the deal, or I wouldn't have offered it, right? We went back and forth a few times on this. So, yeah, this is where we ended up settling, and I'm more than happy with it. Next up, last trade we're going to go over is from the Lemmy's Dynasty League. Another one with Jaden Waddle. This one had Black Jesus and Mr. Dix giving up. Oof. So Black Jesus gave up Josh Downs, a 27 and 28 first. His own. Black Jesus has been a top 3 or 4 team in this league every year since 2020. He has been riding the Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen train this whole time. He got Patrick Mahomes with one of the first picks and landed Josh Allen in the second round, and he has simply just rode that this whole time. He has Derrick Henry as well, so that is just a well-oiled machine. When you got those 3 players, yeah, you're going to be pretty good. Here, we have him acquiring Jaylen Waddle. Ugh. Again, Jaylen Waddle. What do we see here? And he gets the 26 and 28 second from Mr. Dix. Josh Downs could outscore Jaylen Waddle this year. I mean, I look at the two, and I'm pretty even on them, honestly. They both could get in. This isn't a best ball. This is a 12 by 10 lineup league. But as far as I'm concerned, for my money, I'm starting Jaylen Waddle just as much as I'm starting Josh Downs. I'm hoping they're only a 4th or 5th wide receiver on my squad. So, I I know Jalen Waddle has a slightly more proven track record, but Josh Downs is ready to pop. That's just how I feel. Daniel Jones is a better quarterback, better thrower of the football than Anthony Richardson. Not many quarterbacks in the NFL that you can say that about, but Daniel Jones is an upgrade. And that bodes well for Josh Downs this season. Now, I don't know what the pass attempts numbers are going to look like in Indy. We talked up Tyler Warren at the beginning of this trade show with the first deal that we talked about, where Matt English acquired him. But, yeah, getting the 27 first, which is the best draft class of these three that are out here now, we don't know what the 28 class is really going to look like. That's too far down the road. But 27 firsts are worth more than 26 firsts right now. Yes, you got to wait a year. So Black Jesus got that advantage. And Mr. Dix is not quite as good of a roster as Black Jesus. I don't know that this trade did anything for that. Josh Downs versus Jalen Waddle, again, pretty even. But I'm going to lean the Mr. Dix side. He got 2 firsts. Black Jesus got 1. And so that's where I'm going to lean on these, on this deal. Definitely the Mr. Dix side. Good job there. All right. Boom. So those are the trades we had for you tonight. This big evening where the Green Bay Packers were able to acquire Micah Parsons. Again, wheels up for Dak, wheels up for the whole Dallas passing attack. Because they're going to be slinging it in the second half a lot. That's all I got to see. We'll see opening night if they're able to hang with the Eagles. I don't know. I mean, they did get Kenny Clark in the deal, who's a run stuffer, and they're going to need it against the Eagles' O-line week 1. So, yes. Helps out Josh Jacobs. I don't know that it helps out or hurts Jordan Love. Jordan Love had a rough season last year. He was primed to bounce back from that a little bit, but now the passing volume looks like it might stay low again. So, I don't know what to think of it for Jordan Love. But, yeah, that's about where I'm at. Javonte Williams probably even a worse acquisition now. But just my player take on it. You have all the trades out there. Smash that like and subscribe. Get in on the Patreon. Get the help you need to dominate your Dynasty League this year, as long as it's not a league with me. And remember, never stop working.